father of the bride leaves reception for not having a seat first time posting. And honestly, I struggle with whether to share this or not, but here we go. Also, this is very long. My daughter was married last summer. It was a beautiful wedding, from pre-ceremony to the ceremony and then the reception. My daughter did an amazing job planning her very special day, and it truly was her day as she and her now husband paid for 90% of the wedding themselves. My husband and I helped out a bit financially, as did her father and his wife, along with my son-in-law's family. I could go on and on about the wedding, as it is a memory I will relive in my mind forevermore. I have not been in a relationship with the father of my daughter for over 20 years. During her lifetime, I truly believe he and I tried our best to shield her from our issues. We would both show up for important events, spent time with our daughter at each other's homes, and truly tried to give her the best upbringing possible. All I ever wanted was for her to know she was loved by both of us. However, he and I struggled with severe communication issues, and the controlling nature of both him and his family were emotionally exhausting. The gaslighting and manipulation I endured will take me years to fully heal from. Even with these issues, I know that I sincerely tried to stay in communication for the sake of my child, until a couple of years ago. There was a falling out, and the behavior that I had been subjected to for 2 decades was now impacting my daughter. She was an adult by this time, and I sat down to have a heart-to-heart with her. I explained to her that I was no longer going to communicate directly with her father, but that I was always here for her to talk to. I also encouraged her to seek counseling for an independent view of what was happening, as I would always be biased. I've never wanted to taint my daughter's view of her father, but I now had to accept that he was and is responsible for maintaining a healthy relationship with his child, and he was responsible for any fallout from his behavior. Now, the wedding first, rehearsal dinner. Everything went well. We ran through the ceremony, set up the reception site, ate, drank, and truly had a wonderful time together. I know how to put on the fake smile and be an adult for the sake of my children. However, I had genuine moments of joy during the evening, even laughing together. This was our child marrying the love of her life and starting out with such hope. It made me think on all the good times of her childhood, and he is intertwined in those thoughts. The morning of the wedding was filled with last-minute preparations, hair and makeup, photos, and enjoying every moment with my daughter. My husband and I were emotional and praying for the health of our daughter's marriage. My husband has been in her life since she was 8, so he is invested in her as her biological father, and I are. Her father and his wife, who he married 5 years ago, seemed happy and enjoying the day as well. The ceremony went off without a hitch. She looked beautiful. My son-in-law cried when he saw her coming down the aisle. It was a deeply emotional moment. Even her father, who is usually reserved, seemed to be moved by the occasion. Kiss the bride, small talk, family photos, and then all you know what breaks loose. I knew the quiet day was too good to be true. While my daughter was taking photos with her now husband and the bridal party, the guests moved into the reception venue. My daughter and her husband decided not to have assigned seating, even though I warned her against it. This was her vision, and I supported it. The reception hall was broken up by groom's family, friends, and then bride's family, again not by seat assignment, but just how everyone naturally sat down. Her father and his family, who traveled to the wedding, were small in numbers and didn't know many people at the wedding. They walked in later and apparently could not find seats together. I did not notice as I was chatting with some friends of mine who were in attendance. All of the sudden, my other daughter comes in and says the bride's father is outside yelling at her for not having seating for him and his family, making her cry and threatening to leave. All of the sudden, my other daughter comes in and says the bride's father is outside yelling at her for not having seating for him and his family, making her cry and threatening to leave. I walk outside to see my daughter's aunt walking towards me in tears, saying there is nowhere for her family to sit. I assured her we could set up another table and find more chairs. I told her we could have it done quickly. My sister had come outside, and I asked her to fix this so they could get seated. Before my sister could even make it inside, my daughter's father comes stomping towards me and says, "We're leaving." I asked them not to and told them it was a simple fix. I'm just not noticing how I reverted back to my enabling, "let me fix this for you" behavior in this moment. Since my sister was handling the table and chairs, I went over to check on my daughter, who was not just distraught but truly ticked off. She was done. I told her that we were going to fix it and not to worry. Just as I finished that sentence, I turned to see her father and his entire family leaving. They left my baby on her wedding day? My daughter seemed hurt but okay and just wanted to enjoy her reception, so we partied and it was amazing. My husband and our son danced with my daughter in place of her father. The food was great, the music was great, the dancing was great, but my heart ached for the tears that would no doubt come once she had a chance to process what had happened. He missed it. He missed the dancing and laughter and joy of seeing his child so in love on the most important day of her young life. He missed it and ripped her heart out at the same time. That was months ago, and since that time his family has blocked my daughter on social media. He and his wife hounded her to repay some money they spent on the wedding. He doesn't call her. She has to call him, which she rarely does now. He, with one horrific decision, ruined his relationship with a young woman that adored him. She has cried, gotten angry, depressed, and has been hurt more than I can fathom, and I'm still so heartbroken for her that I don't know how to process it. It was one thing to hurt me, hate me even, but to torment my child, well, that has taken my mind to some dark places. I've chosen not to say anything to him or his family, but I struggle with that decision, and I don't know if I should reach out, if for nothing else, than to finally give him a piece of my mind. I've always believed silence is golden, but this still feels so unresolved and unfair. He just gets to hurt her and walk away, never even apologize, and he doesn't have to worry about hearing how awful his behavior was, because I have always stayed silent. My daughter is living a beautiful life with her husband and doesn't seem to care at this time. She tells me that it's their loss, and she doesn't want them in her life if they can't accept what they did was wrong. I worry if I say anything that it could disrupt the peace she has found. However, I also personally endured for her entire life this type of behavior and feel a tiny bit entitled to find closure by telling him off. I welcome advice on what would be best to do. Leave it alone or tell him where to go. Update. Thank you all so much for your feedback so far. I do want to clear up one thing. Some have asked why there were a lack of chairs. There weren't enough chairs at a single table for his family to sit together. Looking back, if he would have talked to me, I would have been able to fix it before it got out of hand. The only reason I asked my sister to bring a table into the hall and extra chairs is because I was panicked and just wanted to smooth things over for my daughter. It's easy to look back and say this or that should have been done to avoid the issue, and that may be true. However, two of our family friends couldn't find a space close to us, and you know what my family did? Moved things around, got 2 chairs, 2 dinner settings, 2 glasses, etc., and went on to have a wonderful evening celebrating my daughter and her new husband. They didn't leave. I hold her father solely responsible for his behavior. I'm not confused on what happened or who is to blame. My daughter certainly isn't to blame for expecting her special day to be held as such, and for everyone, including her father, to behave as people who love and support her, and to stay at the reception to make beautiful memories with her. Many people choose to have a more relaxed reception and do not have a seating chart, and it works out, because in the end, it isn't about you, it's about them. Also, I saw a couple comments about my husband, and yes, he is an excellent daddy to our children. I always say our children and never make a distinction between whose bio or step. It doesn't matter in our family. My husband has always treated my children as his own, loved them, taught them to drive a car, gone to ER visits, and hugged away more tears than I can count. He is an amazing father, even my daughter has said as much. But that doesn't take away the pain of her father hurting her like this. The advice so far has been amazing. I actually feel better after posting here. I think I may have just needed to finally vent it out. I agree with many of you. If I say anything, the only person I may her impact is my daughter. She is the completely innocent one in this messy situation, and I wouldn't want to hurt her. He will never hear how his treatment of me for all those years and now his treatment of our child has hurt us. He will never acknowledge his behavior as abusive. He is who he is, and honestly, now his wife can deal with it.